The life on Europa theory. If you haven't heard of it yet, Europa has to be the coolest moon of Jupiter. This cosmic masterpiece is a cornerstone in popular sci-fi literature, and for good reason. With massive subsurface oceans and an atmosphere with amounts of oxygen, the possibilities presented by Europa excite people around the globe. The theory. Europa has once or currently contains life. The oceans deep beneath its surface contain the capabilities for evolution and life as we know it. How could there be life? You may be wondering by now, how can life even survive on a moon? Life as we know it needs very specific conditions to thrive. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, liquid water, energy, and a survivable habitat. As for water, we know for a fact there's Europe's outer crust, which is solid ice, and below it is a deep, vast ocean of what we think is salt water. If it is salt water, the chemical reactions between the water and the rocks below the surface would create hydrogen-rich materials. If the ocean's bed contains hydrothermal vents similar to Earth, they could be pouring out chemical nutrients, nurturing the life within it. Massive water vapor spouts pour water into the atmosphere 20 times the height of Mount Everest. The surface is consistently being bombarded by radiation emanating off of Jupiter, giving proof that life is incapable of thriving on the surface. That may not be as bad as it sounds though. The radiation hitting the surface could potentially be creating fuel and energy for the life in the oceans below. The radiation would be splitting apart water molecules, causing gas formation under the surface, similar to the atmosphere containing oxygen and hydrogen. Microbes are known to be much tougher when it comes to radiation, so if left in a radiation-rich environment so different than our own, they may have evolved following their own path of growth. We already have microscopic creatures that have evolved to survive the vacuum of space and heavy radiation, like the adorable water bear. There has been millions of years of geology and chemistry occurring under the surface, and it has been isolated from the outside universe. The makeup of life and genealogy may be completely different than our own. This led to not only scientists having plenty of material to theorize on, while sci-fi nerds like myself found solace in the fact that life on Earth may not be as unique as we think. We may have thousands, if not millions, of different unique species in our own solar backyard. Physical characteristics. It has the smoothest surface of any known object in the universe. The ice covers the surface and is shifting along its fault lines similar to our own plate tectonics that keep the oceans liquid and the surface fresh and young. The tides caused by the many gravity wells near Europa cause heating, promoting the movement of the ice plates. Sea salt from the ocean may cover some of the major geological features on the surface. Massive water vapor plumes shoot into the sky from their geyser equivalents. Even Europa's orbit around Jupiter is unique, with a 4:2:1 orbit with the other moons of Jupiter, Io and Ganymede, shown here. Past missions. The history of Europa-bound missions began with the Pioneer 10 and 11 when they did a flyby, giving us our first close-up photos of the blank slate moon as we know it. Voyager brought the next pictures, providing much more detail of the icy surface, leading scientists to speculate the possibility of oceans underneath. The NASA Galileo probe came next, aiming for the moons that Galileo discovered. The namesake mission provided the most detail we have received from the moon. There was a few more flybys after, by New Horizons and Juno respectively. How can we find out? Now that we know some history, what are the chances we find any life on Europa, and how would we do it? Landers have been deemed dangerous thanks to proposals of jagged ice spikes covering the surface. But that hasn't stopped the consistent lobbying for future missions thanks to the theories of extraterrestrial life. Some believe we may be able to predict the water vapor plumes and do a flyby directly through a large plume, giving us the chemical makeup of the vapor. There have been some missions in the works since the early 2010s, providing hopes of a flyby or a lander. In 2012, the BBC network reported that the European Space Agency, ESA, accepted and was planning a launch for a flyby of the icy moon of Jupiter, promptly naming it JUICE, standing for Jupiter Icy Moon Explorer. Its main goal is to discover whether the icy moons are truly habitable. The mission was set to cost $1.1 billion, and even NASA was considering a companion satellite to accompany the mission in its long, quiet journey. In 2015, NASA accepted development for a mission to Europa, proposed by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, also known as JPL. Its aim would be to determine habitability, collecting information during 45 low-altitude flybys of Europa from the orbit of Jupiter. The probe would carry an ice-penetrating radar and shortwave infrared spectrometer and a topographical imager. We would be looking into a brand new world with the newest technology we have. What we find could astound us as a species and broaden our horizons when it comes to our values, ethics, and specifications of life. Popular media. If you like the idea of life being on Europa, then you're in luck. So do a lot of people. There have been countless books and documentaries with non-fiction takes on the moon, such as Unmasking Europa by Richard Greenberg, but my favorites are always the science fiction takes. Cold as Ice, written by Charles Sheffield, is set in the near future where Jupiter's moons are inhabited, with focus on the possible life discovered in the oceans under the surface. Alastair Reynolds wrote short stories in his Galactic North collection that depicted massive inverted cities hanging from the bottom of the surface ice. There was also a decently received movie on the topic named Europa Report, with a group of privately funded astronauts that are set on a mission to discover life on the ice moon. In conclusion, we are in a period of time where we can only speculate on whether there could be life on Europa. The only thing holding us back from discovery is ourselves. Most scientists want to believe, but just like most theories, all we have is our personal experiences and the science that has been passed on to us. At the end of the day, it's up to you to come to a logical decision. Word of mouth and interest of society is what pushes us to break the limits. It may be you who discovers life on Europa, but even if you don't, your perception and lust for knowledge is what fuels the flame of discovery. Like Immanuel Kant once said, experience without theory is blind, but theory without experience is mere intellectual play.